All right, so we're diving into some fascinating stuff today. Someone dealing with like really bad tinnitus, keeping them up at night, you know?
Yeah, the kind that just won't quit, even with those usual tricks.
Exactly. And what's interesting is we've got these audio notes from someone who's super into lucid dreaming.
And get this, they're actually like hanging out with Data from Star Trek in their dreams.
Like not just watching data, but actually interacting with him in the dream.
Right. It's wild.
And, you might be thinking, okay, cool, Star Trek dreams, but what's that got to do with my horrible tinnitus?
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
So tell me more about what this person is actually doing with data in their dreams.
So they're not just, chit-chatting, they're actually trying to teach him stuff.
Teach them like what?
Like complex things, computers,
Wow.
even film editing software.
Really?
Yeah, and all while they're completely lucid dreaming.
So they're aware they're dreaming and choosing to like have these tutoring sessions with data.
Exactly. And that's what I find so fascinating. It's the level of control they have over their dream environment.
Yeah, because if they can teach data to edit a film in their dreams.
Imagine the possibilities for managing something like tinnitus.
Okay, so how does that connection work?
Well, they're not just controlling the visuals, right? They're shaping the whole environment, including the sounds.
So they're like a sound engineer for their own dream world.
Precisely. They even talk about manipulating sound effects,
Like what kind of sound effects?
like using a finger snap to close a garage door in the dream.
Whoa, that's pretty specific.
Right, and it gets even crazier. They talk about controlling the weather in their dreams.
Which implies controlling all those ambient sounds too, right? The
Oh,
wind, the rain.
exactly. So if they can control those details, maybe they could also control the ringing or buzzing of tinnitus.
Hmm, interesting.
Like, imagine replacing that horrible ringing with peaceful ocean waves all within your mind.
Like a built-in white noise machine, basically.
Yeah, it's a pretty mind-blowing concept.
It is, but I'm guessing it's not all sunshine and roses in lucid dreamland, right?
Oh, definitely not. They talk about challenges too, like wasting time in dreams and the need to constantly maintain logic.
Makes sense. It's still your brain after all.
Right, and they even mention needing to remind themselves to stay focused on their goals.
So it's not like you just become all powerful in your dreams.
Not quite, but there's definitely potential there, especially for managing something as pervasive as tinnitus. It really is amazing the level of detail they describe. They even mentioned a dream where they could see the internal circuitry of their phone.
Whoa, through the selfie camera?
Yeah, through the selfie camera, like they zoomed in and saw all the tiny components.
That's wild. It
Yeah.
really shows you the power of the mind to create these super vivid experiences.
Absolutely. And it's not always easy. They talk about struggling to summon data at first.
Like their mind was playing hide and seek with them.
Exactly. And even in those struggles, there's a valuable lesson.
Yeah.
The fact that they could eventually summon data.
Even if it took a few try shows, persistence pays off.
Right. And they even described a dream where data was like 8 feet tall.
8 feet tall.
Yeah. And couldn't fit through a doorway.
So what did they do?
They had to use their dream control to shrink him down to size.
That's hilarious. It sounds like something straight out of a movie.
It does, right. And it's a perfect example of how even unexpected challenges can pop up in lucid dreaming.
But the mind can adapt and find creative solutions.
Exactly. And that speaks to the potential of using this kind of control to manage something like severe tinnitus.
Okay, so let's get practical here.
Mm.
How could someone actually use lucid dreaming to find relief from tinnitus, especially when it's keeping them from falling asleep?
Well, they talk about using voiced commands in their dreams, almost like programming a computer.
Interesting.
And that got me thinking about the potential for using affirmations or specific sound cues to influence the dream environment.
That's a cool idea. It's like using the power of suggestion to reprogram your soundscape.
Exactly. And we know the mind is incredibly powerful. So if we can tap into that power through lucid dreaming,
Who knows what's possible?
right, imagine being able to consciously shift your focus from that internal ringing.
To a calming sound of your choosing.
Exactly. It's like taking control of the radio dial in your mind and tuning into a more peaceful station.
I love that analogy, but how do you even get to that point? Lucid dreaming isn't exactly easy.
Well, this person actually shared a fascinating method for falling asleep consciously.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they talked about using physical discomfort as a kind of anchor point for their awareness while letting their mind wander.
Because instead of fighting that discomfort, you use it as a way to stay present.
Right, and to guide yourself towards a lucid dream.
Interesting. So it's a technique that takes practice.
Definitely. But it highlights the possibility of consciously influencing the sleep process, you know?
It all sounds pretty amazing, but also kind of daunting. Do you really think someone struggling with bad tinnitus could actually learn to do this?
Well, they also describe being able to observe their own transition into REM sleep.
Like watching a computer boot up.
Yeah, exactly, like watching an operating system boot up. It's fascinating.
So it suggests that this mysterious process of falling asleep can actually be understood.
And potentially even influenced.
So maybe instead of feeling powerless against the tinnitus, we could actually step into the control room of our own minds.
And adjust the settings.
I like that that's a powerful image.
And that's really where this deep dive, takes on a whole new meaning.
It's about reclaiming that agency over your soundscape, even in the face of something as frustrating as tinnitus.
Exactly. It's not about giving up, it's about taking control.
This person talked about lucid dreaming being like a second life where anything is possible.
Right. And for someone with severe tinnitus, that can be a game changer.
Because it's not just about escaping reality.
It's about using that dream world to actually enhance your waking life.
They even mentioned how making their real life more interesting actually made their dreams more interesting.
It's like a positive feedback loop.
Yeah. The more you invest in your waking life, the richer your dreamscape becomes.
And maybe, just maybe, that richer dreamscape becomes a place where you can finally find some peace and quiet.
Even with tinnitus.
Exactly. And while this deep dive doesn't offer a step-by-step guide to silencing tinnitus,
It definitely offers a powerful new perspective.
it's not necessarily about blocking out the sound, but about learning to orchestrate it, to transform it into something that no longer controls you.
So if you could program your own dreams, what sounds would you create? What would your ideal soundscape be to help you drift off peacefully? Maybe that's the starting point. It's time to start exploring the incredible potential of your own mind.